Guys, gals, you know what I'm talking about. When you go to make the move, timing is everything.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you're going to download this podcast, it's going to be free, and you know how much I appreciate your support. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So Lincoln Riley's timing is interesting, to say the least. Right? When he makes a move, you're like, all right, wasn't expecting it, but there it is. For the second year in a row. And I mean, it kind of feels like deja vu. After last year's loss to Washington, remember USC lost at home 52-42. Coach Riley said, I got to make a change. I can't wait any longer. It's time. I got to let Alex Grinch go. No longer can he be our defensive coordinator. Well, this year, after losing to Washington on the road and only giving up 26 points, literally half of what you gave up the year before, unfortunately, you only scored 21, half of what you scored the year before. Lincoln Riley was forced to make another executive decision, this time on offense, his side of the ball. Look, I'm sure you've all heard by now, Jayden Maiava is the new QB1 at USC. He will be starting the next time USC takes the field. So after the bye week, when Nebraska gets to town, look for number 14. He'll be starting at quarterback. The news broke late Monday night, literally right after I got done taping an episode of Locked On USC, probably the one you watched yesterday, if you're watching this episode first thing on Wednesday. And that was 2 days after USC suffered their fifth loss of the year. And that was with Miller Moss as the starter. Riley made a choice to go in a different direction. 2 days after he said he wasn't going to make a change, he said this: we have two good players in the room, and when we went back and looked at it, we felt like it was in our best interest of the team to give Jayden a chance. It's that simple. That's what he said after practice on Tuesday, just a couple days after he said he wasn't going to make a change. I don't really think it caught anyone by surprise, the announcement, except for maybe a few who are probably too close to the situation. I'll get to that in a little bit later in the show. Nevertheless, 3 games left in the regular season. Coach Riley decided a change is being made at quarterback. So following Tuesday's practice, here's how Coach Riley described how he broke the news to Miller the day before. It was tough. I've been part of a few of these. It's never easy. There's nothing easy about it, especially when you've got a guy that's worked that hard and has done a lot of really good things. Honestly, I've been in times where it's easier where the guy's just not playing very good at all and the team's getting blown out. It's like painfully obvious, right? Like anybody can do it. Ones like this where it's a tough call, it's tough. I was part of one a few years ago where we were undefeated at the time. You never know 100%. Nobody's got a crystal ball. We just come in here like a play call, like decisions we make. We make the best decisions we can that we feel are in the best interest of the program. It's my job to take the emotion out of it because you have a loyalty to all these guys individually, but you got a bigger loyalty to the team and program, and it's always got to stay that way, end quote. So the question is, why now? The obvious answer is, well, if you're going to make a change at quarterback, it makes sense to use the bye week, use the extra practice reps to help get Jayden Maiava prepared for Nebraska. Like I said, that's the obvious answer. Okay, but why now? And what I mean is, why did Coach Riley wait to play 9 regular season games to make this change? Was it the film review? Was it players in the locker room maybe whispering too loudly about accountability? Not holding everyone to the same standard? We've heard the players say it. We've heard the coaches say it. The standard is the standard. Or, possibly did pressure from the outside start to push the right button with Lincoln Riley? Remember, following USC's loss over the weekend to Washington, he was asked, was there any thought about inserting Jayden Maiava into the games? Not just that game, the other 8 games before that. Saturday night, he said he had no plans to make a change at quarterback. Quote, I wouldn't say that right now, no. What we're looking at is what is the best lineup, the best people to help us win each and every week. That's what he said after the game Saturday. I find that interesting because, again, after Tuesday's practice, first time he met with the media after he made the announcement that Jayden's going to be starting, he said this: we go back and we evaluate like we do every single game. We have 2 good players in the room, and when we went back and looked at it, we felt like it was in the best interest in the team. We felt like it was in the best interest of the team to give Jayden a chance here. It's that simple. Listen, I've been through enough of these with quarterbacks. I know the quarterback at any program, especially one like this, are a lightning rod. We made a lot of other changes at other positions throughout this, trying to find out our best lineup and best possible lineup to help us go out and win that aren't going to get the attention and the publicity. And I get it. It's part of the football, but there was nothing more to this decision than that. And he had a lot of more coach speak stuff that he said about Miller, how he's done a really good job. But that last paragraph that I was talking about where, he says, we've made other changes at other positions throughout the year that's trying to find our best lineups. I'm not sure which moves he was actually referring to when he said that didn't get, the attention or the publicity. I mean, and I'm just talking specifically on the offensive side of the ball right now. The offensive line hasn't made any changes this year, not unless someone's being subbed in for an injury. It's been Elijah Page at left tackle. It's been Emmanuel Prignon at left guard, Jonah Monheim at center, Alani Noah at right guard, and they flip-flopped him and Amos Talalele. That was early in the year, but for the most part, Alani Noah has been your starter at right guard, and right tackle, it's been Mason Murphy. So I don't know. Maybe Coach Riley is alluding to something in the future. Does that mean there's another move in the works? Maybe that'll get attention when it actually happens. I'm talking about the offensive line. I know nothing's really happened at wide receiver, not unless he's referring to Mekhi Lemon kind of blossoming. But at whose expense is he taking? I don't think Mekhi's taking snaps away from anybody. I don't think anybody's snap count has, been affected significantly at the wide receiver position. I definitely know he's not talking about the running back spot. That's been Woody Marks. Maybe he's talking about the defensive side of the ball. There have been some changes there, mostly out of attrition. Bear Alexander quitting, Eric Gentry missing the rest of the season with injury. Same thing with Anthony Lucas. Those got the attention, but they were injured or they quit. So I guess according to Riley, the reason Maiava is starting game number 10 is because of this. Quote, he's improved throughout the year. He's improved in camp and he's continued to improve. It's not easy being the backup, and I feel like he's handled that well. He's improved every single week. I think he's learned a lot from having a guy like Miller in the room. He's put together some really good practices. He's a talented kid. We're obviously excited for Jayden to get this opportunity, end quote. So that's what he said after practice Tuesday. So I guess my response is this. Fine. Okay. You're making the change. But where were those reps, during portions of the game where you could have used Jayden and his unique skill set throughout the season. I mean, the reason why people from the outside looking in want Maiava to get his chance is because of his athleticism. What he brings to the table that Miller kind of lacks. Coach Riley, he didn't want to get into a Miller Moss versus Jayden Maiava comparison, but he did say that the skill sets, that both of their skill sets, quote, are not all that different. I don't anticipate changing a lot offensively. It's not like we're going to all of a sudden break out some new offense. I'm excited for him to run our system. That's what Coach Riley said. I guess we'll see what he means by that when they actually line up against Nebraska. Because if that's the case, if there's really no differences, physically in the way they play the game, why are you making the switch? I think we know why. Guys, sometimes those intimate moments, they happen spontaneously. You always want to be ready, right? You always want to be ready to perform in the bedroom. HIMS provides access to treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. HIMS is changing men's healthcare by providing you access to affordable sexual health treatments, and you can do it from the comfort of your couch. The process is 100% online. There's no need for that uncomfortable doctor visits where you got to talk about things. He or she has to kind of see what's going on inside your underwear. None of that. All you got to do is just answer a series of questions. You go to their website, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option for you. And if it's prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging. And get this, it's for free. No insurance is needed, and you're going to get one low price that's going to cover everything from the treatments to the ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, HIMS can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS like Sam.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable, compounded products which are not approved or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription is required. Prices varies based on the product and your subscription plan. All right, if you're an NFL fan, get ready to tackle all of your NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers, if you bet $5, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, and you can do it all in one place. So when you get that hunch in the middle of the game, and you can check out the latest stats, you can view live play-by-play, you can place another bet, you can do all that and so much more on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Just visit FanDuel.com, join today. You're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So what does Jayden do differently that's going to make a difference when he starts against the Cornhuskers? You heard Coach Riley say it. Their games, him and Miller's games, are not all that dissimilar from each other. One of the primary complaints with Miller's game was his arm strength. He has consistency issues with the deep ball, getting it out there, leading the receiver. The Trojans have had trouble all year going up against, good pass defenses, stretching them out, getting over the top, stretching defenses vertically. It's not like Miller was bad when it came to his completion percentage, especially on passes of more than 20 yards downfield. Not great, Not bad, not elite, just kind of there, meh, average. His 43.6% completion rate, ranked 33rd in the country, and he's right in that mix with quarterbacks like Jackson Dart at Ole Miss, who was 45.9%. You've got Clemson's quarterback, who's having a really good year, Clabe Klubnik. He's 44.7%. So when you're in the same conversation with your deep ball accuracy with players like Jackson Dart, you're in good company. However, the deep ball of more than 20 yards wasn't really a true deep ball. So among qualifying quarterbacks, Moss's average depth of target on throws of more than 20 yards downfield was just like 26 yards. In other words, he really wasn't stretching it downfield. You weren't seeing a lot of 45-yard deep throw strikes. It was more deep middle, 26-yarders. That's not really stretching a defense. In fact, that puts him at 150th nationally, and way behind the 36.4 yards that Tennessee's Nico Maiava. I apologize for butchering it. Maiava. Nico Maiava. I think I got it right that time. But to compare it to Caleb Williams, last year's USC starting quarterback, Caleb finished 34th in the country, 30.7 on throws of more than 20 yards. Jayden Maiava, last year, he was number 55 at 29.9 yards. So does that mean Lincoln Riley is going to dial up more deep ball routes for the receiver group? I don't know. We're going to see, but I think we will be able to kind of maybe get a better idea of what's been causing some of the separation issues. USC wide receivers getting separation from defensive backs. Was it due to underthrown balls, or are the receivers actually part of Miller Moss's challenge? Were they not running good routes? We'll see what happens with Jayden Maiava. Something else that Jayden brings, his running ability. This is really the difference between Miller and Jayden. There's a size differential. Jayden is bigger. He's 6'4", 220. I think this is the big one that Jayden brings that's different. And he's actually shown in his limited opportunities at USC that he's more than capable of using his legs and running. You remember that 14-yard escape scramble for a touchdown he had against Utah State? There's plenty of film you could look at of him using his legs to extend plays when he was a starter at UNLV. Coach Riley said he's not going to change the playbook for Maiava. However, I do want to let you know this again, and I'm looking probably towards next year. When Jalen Hurts was Lincoln Riley's quarterback at Oklahoma for a year, in 1 year, Jalen ran it for almost 1,300 yards, 20 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts, Jayden Maiava, very similar body style quarterbacks. So I don't know, maybe that happens next year. One of the things I thought Riley could have done more with Miller this season was roll the pocket. I know that his interceptions get all the attention, including the ones that were almost interceptions. But how many times did Miller get a pass knocked down at the line of scrimmage? Maybe move him outside the pocket a little bit more. Open up those throwing lanes. This could be advantageous for Jayden when he gets outside the pocket, because now you're going to force linebackers and safeties. You're going to stress them out a little bit in the open field, because they're thinking, all right, well, is Jayden going to take off and run, or is he going to throw it at the last second? That's what a true RPO looks like. Right now, we know that what Maiava is capable of based on what he did at UNLV. Again, go check out his film. But there's a reason, there has to be a reason why Coach Riley was so reluctant to make the move to Jayden earlier this year. And I'm not talking about as a starter, just putting him in the game. I think it probably had something to do with this. Again, Maiava is a guy who can make plays, but he also, as a starter last year, he threw 10 interceptions, and he had 24, we'll call it turnover-worthy plays in 390 dropbacks. So there was other opportunities where almost turnovers. That tied for number 4 overall. And that was just 7 fewer than the national leader who hit that number, and he used 220 more snaps than Maiava to have those turnover-worthy plays, 10 interceptions. So what I'm saying is be careful what you're wishing for. We all want Jayden Maiava to be successful. I'm rooting for the young man. I'm sure Miller's rooting for him. But I really do hope the fan base isn't going to be putting too much pressure on Jayden just to come out and be the savior. That wouldn't be fair. Remember, before Lincoln Riley hired Antonlynn, Nebraska's defensive coordinator, Tony White, he was part of the discussion. I know I was in the campus. Hey, I wouldn't mind having that guy. What I'm trying to say is Tony White's a really good defensive coordinator. Nebraska's pretty good on defense. He knows what Jayden's strengths are. I think he's gonna make the Husker. He's gonna make Jayden use his arm to beat the Huskers. They're gonna really contain the edge, make sure that running is not an option, at least for the quarterback. So we're gonna see what happens in game 1 against Nebraska, and then you got rivalry week ×2. UCLA, Notre Dame to end the season. So Jayden's not exactly stepping into an easy game here. He's got a bye week to get more comfortable using those starter reps at practice. But then playing at home against Nebraska, and then right into the fire against UCLA and Notre Dame. We're all rooting for the best, right? We're all hoping for the best. Like I said, USC fans, you're going to have to take it with a grain of salt. Do not anticipate the second coming. If it happens, great. If not, just kind of accept whatever happens. We've been talking about Zeobiotics. I know a lot of you guys like to drink. I'm not a big drinker, so it's not something that I need to partake with. But I know a lot of you are trying to drink this season away. Hopefully, before you start drinking, you're using Zeobiotics first. Zeobiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme. It breaks down this byproduct for you. Just remember to make Zeobiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best the next day. Here's how easy it is. Drink Zeobiotics Pre-Alcohol. For best results, make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Second step, drink responsibly. Pace yourself. Hydrate. Then get a good night's sleep. Step 3, it's easy. Wake up in the morning. You're going to feel refreshed. You're going to be ready to tackle the day. Go to zeobiotics.com, Locked On College, to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Locked On College at checkout. Zeobiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, head to zeobiotics.com/Locked On College. Use the code Locked On College at checkout for 15% off. When was the last time you went to any type of live event? Was it a concert, comedy show, USC football game, USC basketball game? Were you at Galen Center? They beat UT Chattanooga, beat them up pretty good. The NBA season's upon us. Are you going to go check out the Lakers? The LeBron and Bronny clown show? Tell you what, Game Time has this feature called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets for your favorite live event really easy. This feature filters out the fluff. It's going to show you all the stuff you want on incredible deals. Great seats, so you don't have to waste a lot of time searching through thousands of different tickets. I mean, that sounds pretty cool, right? You don't have to waste your time, get the best price. You already know how much I love their see your seat before you check out feature. That's my favorite feature. So what are you worried about? With the game time guarantee, you're always going to get the best price. You know you're going to get the best seat. And if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time's going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, one more segment to go here. I want to talk about the locker room, the culture. A locker room divided. Hopefully it's not divided. Lincoln Riley making the switch of quarterback, that was the easy part. Okay. I mean, telling your starter that he's no longer the starter is never easy, but that comes with the job description, those one-on-one conversations. Something else that comes with the job description of being the head coach at a place like USC, playing psychologist to 100 plus testosterone-filled athletes who are full of emotion, who are loyal. You know, there's friendships at stake here. Like, I already know for a fact that there are concerns about the locker room. Okay. I've got my sources. Not going to name names, but I'm being told that there are guys on the staff who are already having conversations with the players, trying to make sure everybody's on the same page, trying to soothe some emotions. You don't need to take my word for it. But when I bring up things like this, it's coming from people close to the situation. That's all you need to know. I mean, look, have you seen Jacoby Lane's social media account? Right now, he's got USC fans spinning, trying to figure out where his head is at. I know he and Miller were really tight. They still are. They're good friends. I'm not saying that Jacoby isn't close with Jayden Maiava. He hasn't known Jayden as long as Miller. They haven't practiced together as long. Now, again, you're never trying to decipher where someone's head is by reading a player's social media account. They like to mess around with people a lot. But Jacoby did post this message on X. Quote, "The love I have for this team is deeper than football. Wouldn't want to be on any other team in the country. I bleed Cardinal and gold, and I don't need nobody validation or anything. If you think I'm not beyond happy for Jayden and excited for him, respectfully, you're very silly," end quote. So take it for what it's worth. Jacoby Lane, he's going to be balling out in 2 weeks when they play Nebraska. Now, on the other side of things, you've got Miller Moss's mom. She has gone full mama bear mode, and she's willing to take on all comers over there on X, on social media. She kind of feels like Miller's being made the scapegoat. And I get it. I got to be honest. I get it. But at the same time, and I would tell her this, I have that kind of relationship with her. She's smart enough to know that anonymous people will say anything if they think they can get a rise out of you. Miller Moss's mom, highly intelligent, went to USC, I believe Stanford. I think she taught at USC or does. Again, very intelligent person. She's no dummy. So you've got that dynamic that's playing right now. Like I said, emotions are raw. But if you're Lincoln Riley, then you also got to take into consideration players like Jonah Monheim, other seniors. You want to make sure they're showing their leadership skills. You want to make sure you're doing everything for those guys down the stretch as well. You want to make sure that you're playing the season out for those guys, for the Jonah Monheims, the Jamil Muhammad's on defense, Kobe Pepe. the Kyron Hudsons, Kyle Ford. Who am I leaving out here? Again, the older guys. Let me be clear. Why I know there are issues going on in the locker room right now. This locker room is nowhere close to the mutiny that happened back at the end of the Clay Helton, Dante Williams era. I'm not gonna rehash that, but a changing of the guard at quarterback, you never know. You have no idea what's going to happen. So you've got hopefully a win coming, but one more loss ahead of the rivalry games. Yeesh. You're now pretty much guaranteed a losing season. Well, you'll be 4-6 going into UCLA and Notre Dame. The best you can do is 500. What I will say to this is good luck, Dr. Riley. You and your staff are going to have your hands full. So that's the risk you take. You're doing whatever you can to get the team to play better. You're making a change of quarterback. Great. I get it. Making the change. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully it's a positive change. I'll be back with another episode of Locked on USC tomorrow. We'll see if there's other fallout. We'll have more practice report information. Maybe some more recruiting news. We'll see. Until that next episode, though, everyone, you know what to do.